Kano had been watching...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry? Oh, right. Kano had been watching syndicate members hand off the attaché case for an hour and a half. He still had no idea where this relay might be headed. The man he was tailing now was about 10 meters away. Close enough that Kano could close the distance and apprehend him at a moment's notice. But his orders remained the same. Follow and observe. He watched as the case was handed off once more. By now, the shock of seeing it pass to yet another accomplice had worn off.
Sort of been 90 minutes, huh? Damn it.
It was Sasayama. At some point, he'd crept up on Kano from behind.
They don't seem like they're trying to get away at all.
Kano said.
They're just walking. What could it be up to?
Sasayama shrugged. Yeah, it's weird. Kano recalled Dick Dictum number 89.
The more relevant something seems, the more relevant it's bound to be. Go ahead.
Oh, this is me. Sorry, I thought it was you still. Alright, if Tateno's wisdom held true, the Syndicate must have some reason for what it was doing. Were they just trying to throw the investigators off their scent? No, that couldn't be it. They were wandering in circles, staying right in the same area. They were just running up the clock. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
What if that's exactly what they were after? Buying time. Kano felt a sudden conviction that he was on the right track. If they needed more time to make sure they got their hands on the ransom payment.
Wait. Hold on.
Could it be that... Could it be that the real case had already been switched out? It made a certain amount of sense. By handing the case off to one accomplice after another, they were leading the detectives to pay more attention to the individuals than the case itself. That could enable them to swap the case while all the focus was elsewhere. Kano shared his hunch with Sasayama. I see. I mean, it is a possibility.
Yeah, we might be following the wrong case.
There was palpable tension in the air now. Kano, Sasayama said, you gotta report in to Kuze.
On it.
Kano's hand flashed to his wireless. But Kuze was dismissive.
No, that's the case, I assure you.
No offense, sir, but how can we be sure? Oh, damn it.
Kuze sighed.
Because it's my job. There's an ID tag in a case that allows us to keep tabs on it. There's no way these crooks could have whipped up a duplicate.
ID tag? What ID tag?
Wait, no. That's right. Kano had forgotten all about that detail in the wake of his all-nighter.
Oh, right.
Don't you right me. Clearly you weren't hired for your brains. Focus on what you're good at.
Kuze ended the call. Still, Kano couldn't shake his conviction that something was off. The man with the attaché case made his way back to Shibuya Station. The heck? Sasayama grumbled. He's right back where we started. Kano felt his frustration growing. It honestly looked like the syndicate was just randomly lugging the case around town. Near Shibuya Station, a girl approached the suspect. She was Japanese, and entirely unlike any of the other criminal accomplices. She spoke to the man while showing him something on a notepad. He glanced at the pad, but did not slow down. Within moments, he had left her behind. It looked like she'd just passed him a message. Well, that's sure fishy, Sasayama muttered.
What? The girl?
Asked Kano. Yeah. Wanna go hit her up? Sasayama could only mean one thing. Questioning her.
She can't be involved with this, can she? Oh, damn it.
Sasayama flashed him a skeptical look. No, I think you were right saying that.
Okay.
Don't let your preconceptions get the better of you. Could get you killed.
I know that, but still, she doesn't come across as involved to me.
Kano knew better than to judge people based on appearance, but he was still convinced the girl wasn't part of this gang. She just struck him as far too, well, inept, really. Alright, I'll go look into the girl, Sasayama said. You keep following the attaché case. Kano nodded and hurried after the man. The man's black garb made him stand out in the crowd at the intersection. It occurred to Kano that all of the criminals who'd handled the attaché case had been wearing the same black clothing. That fact made the whole situation even weirder. Could they really be ignorant that they were being followed while they were all wearing the same eye-catching outfit? It was more like they were going out of their way to make sure the investigators spotted them. That still didn't provide any clues as to what they were after, though. The longer Kano kept tailing these guys, the less it all made sense. Was it really such a good idea to keep this up? Someone's life was in danger and they were just letting the kidnappers carry out their plan, whatever it was. The very first page of the Dick Diary spelled things loud and clear on that front.
Dick dictum number 1. Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever.
Right now, the single most important thing was ensuring the hostage's safety. This was a situation where Tateno would have stuck to his guns for sure. Kano thought back to that day 3 years ago. A burglar had shut himself inside a financial office and doused the place in gasoline. Kano had just been put on police box duty and was ordered to the scene because his box was just down the street from the standoff. Several officers had surrounded the building, keeping close tabs on the situation. The suspect was shouting nonsense through the entrance on the first floor. Things were getting heated. A crowd of alarmed onlookers had started to form as well.
Emilio, go for it.
Step aside.
A voice suddenly said from amidst the throng. A middle-aged man in a rumpled business suit had approached Kano as he hovered nervously at the edge of the scene.
I'm sorry, sir.
Kano said.
You have to stay back for your own safety.
He attempted to usher the man back into the crowd. A no-nonsense look crossed the newcomer's face. He spoke in a low voice.
I'm Detective Tateno from the Shibuya precinct. What's the situation?
Oh, sir. I'm so sorry. Yes, of course.
Kano stammered, then quickly explained.
He hasn't taken one hostage, but there are still people on the upper floors of the building.
Giving only a slight nod, Tateno marched straight up to the building. The plastic container of gasoline the suspect had used was on the ground out front. Tateno picked it up and dumped the remaining contents out over his head. Kano was at a loss for words. He couldn't believe what he was seeing.
I've covered myself in gasoline too.
Tateno called out from the entryway. The tension in the air ratcheted itself up several notches.
Let's see. Frank, go for it.
Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Kano heard the burglar shouting from inside.
If you're gonna do it, do it.
Tateno called out.
We can die together.
And he walked into the building. All Kano could do was watch things unfold through the plate glass window. Tateno was talking to the burglar, but Kano couldn't make out the words. The crook was clutching a lighter, his hand trembling. His expression was like that of a frightened child. Tateno slowly approached him and took firm hold of his shaking hand. The onlookers erupted into cheers and applause. Tateno handed the now docile suspect over to the detectives, then wearily sat down against the planter out front. It was like something ripped straight out of a police drama.
That was amazing!
Kano breathed.
You have to deal with guys like that as quickly as you can. You let a situation like this get even a little out of hand, and you never know how things might go south on you.
Tateno spoke quietly, almost as if he were talking to himself. As the police evacuated the rest of the building, Kano noticed that there were children and elderly people among them. If the perp had managed to set the fire, there was no way they would have escaped in time.
But, I mean, what if you actually set the place on fire?
If someone's willing to risk their life, you're not going to convince them of anything unless you do the same.
Kano still remembered the awe he felt at Tateno's matter-of-fact tone. Kano hadn't become a police officer out of any real sense of duty. He just thought it would make Rumi happy if he became a detective like her father. Besides, civil servants tended to stay afloat in times of recession, and his time playing rugby meant he was in good physical shape for the job. He'd never really thought too much about protecting the citizenry or keeping the peace. But now he was in the presence of a detective who'd literally risked his life in the line of duty without a second thought.
A police officer never loses sight of what he's supposed to protect. Ever.
Getting back to his feet, Tateno tugged off his gasoline-drenched coat and walked away. Kano wrote the words in a notebook he'd just purchased. Thus, the Dick Diary was born. Thinking back to the way Tateno had put his life on the line to rescue a bunch of strangers made Kano feel all the more raw about just tailing these syndicate members. Letting the crooks just wander around wasn't going to bring Maria Osawa to safety. Of that, Kano was now certain.
Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever.
He uttered the fundamental dick dictum out loud.
Panda, go for it.
Well, you've lost sight of it completely.
A voice said out of nowhere.
What?
Kano spun around. It was Shizuo.
Oh.
Rumi was with him.
Sir?
Kano stuttered.
Were you supposed to be waiting at the cafe for... Frank, I think it was you.
There was some low life there, so we left.
Rumi's dad looked plenty mean under ordinary circumstances. Right now, he looked like a man possessed.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm still on duty at the moment.
I'm back home.
Shizuo huffed.
You're not marrying my daughter.
He turned to walk away.
No! Please! Just wait!
I'm done waiting. Now, I'm going home.
Please! Don't do this! Just hear me out!
I've heard all I need to hear from you. Rumi, we're leaving.
Dad, please!
Goodbye.
Seizing his daughter by the hand, Shizuo stormed off without another word, dragging her behind.
Shinya!
She called out over her shoulder.
Rumi.
She was gone. Rumi was gone. Kano desperately wanted to go after her, but he hesitated in an agony of indecision.
I can't turn my back on my responsibilities. I'm a detective. My work has to be my first priority. Going after Rumi isn't what a good detective would do. Oh, Detective Tateno. What should I do? Tateno,
Still, the dictum echoed in his mind.
Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever.
Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect.
Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect.
6 months later. Kano made his way through a small corner of a vast field in the Nagano countryside. Slowly and leisurely, he tilled the soil. He'd surprised himself with his own newfound enthusiasm for organic farming, learning more from Shizuo day after day. His father-in-law had taught him the ways of farming from the ground up, and while things had been rocky between them at first, their friendship was now growing strong. Pausing to wipe his brow, he smiled at the acreage. He smiled at the acreage around him. He looked forward to tending the crops he'd sown until harvest came around. If he'd stayed on as a detective, he might well never have known the joy he now found in his work. And this wasn't the only seed Kano had planted. By the time harvest season came around, the new life growing within his dear Rumi's belly would be ready to celebrate it with them. Bad end?
I guess so.
In 1 hour, the Burning Hammer sales demo will begin. Shiri's laying out the assortment of snacks that we'll have on hand.
Hey Tama, you hungry?
Why, yes, I am. I mean, that should be pretty obvious at this point. All I've had since putting on this stupid mascot costume is some burning hammer and a bunch of iced tea.
Hey now,
Chiri shoots back.
what's with the attitude?
Chiri, you do remember that you ate my lunch, right?
The sticker said it was best before noon.
You just made that up.
Yeah.
Chiri chortles merrily and chugs some more iced tea.
Okay, folks.
Mr. Yanagishita calls out as he slips into the room.
Lunch break's over. Back to work.
I don't feel like I've had much of a break. If anything, I'm even more mentally exhausted than I was before.
There's a box full of Angachi toys in the storeroom on the 3rd floor. Mind bringing those down?
Anagachi? I ask. What's that? The name makes it sound like it's some sort of product knockoff. Mr. Yanagishita's face widens in surprise.
You've never heard of them? No. Anagachi? It's a digital pet game where you raise an eel that lives in Tokyo Bay.
Never heard of it, I say.
Well, I guess maybe a lot of people in Japan haven't heard of it yet. But it's all the rage right now with the youngsters over in NYC.
NYC? Oh, he must mean New York City. It's popular in New York? Really?
Anyway, I did some quick checking and that's what I learned. So last month I bought a whole bunch of them.
And once again, you were swindled. Yep. Ooh.
Once again, you were swindled. Yep.
Ouch. Chiri dropping the hard truth. Mr. Yanagishita lets out a pathetic whimper.
No.
Just like that, his confidence evaporates. He starts muttering to himself.
I thought it sounded a little fishy, really. I mean, think about it. Why would kids in New York be interested in raising eels from Tokyo Bay?
He muses.
And what appeal would an eel character even have, anyway? None! That's what! I should have known that! I did know that!
Then why do you buy them? This farce is getting tiresome.
Anyway,
Yanagishita continues.
it was gonna cost way too much to keep them in storage, so I was just gonna let the recycling guy take them.
He hangs his head in shame. In a matter of moments, he's borderline catatonic. So funny. Chiri, on the other hand, flashes a big, bright grin.
Still, eel's pretty delicious.
Oh, Cheery.
Yanagishita blurts.
Thank you.
He clasps her hands in gratitude.
I wasn't exactly complimenting you there, boss.
It's the same thing. There's a little bit of me in each of my products. Yanagachi and I are one and the same. Which is to say, eels and I are one and the same. Go on, then. Say something nice about eels.
Chiri chimes right in without missing a beat.
Eels are awesome. When it comes to eel sushi, 100 pieces barely whets my appetite.
These two make quite a pair.
That really means a lot to me, Cheery. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't understand what any of this is about, but if it helps mend Mr. Yanagishita's wounded spirits, I guess I can't complain. I leave them to their devices and head for the storeroom. The storeroom door opens with a rough, grating sound. Okay, now where's the light switch? I fumble around in the dark, feeling for the switch box. My costume paws mute the sensations in my hands enough that even finding that is difficult. I bat at the wall willy-nilly until eventually the lights come on. Apparently, I found the switch, even if I didn't feel it. Whoa. What the heck is this? The storeroom is practically overflowing with shoddy goods. A painting that looks like a child's scribblings. An oddly shaped hat bearing the words, "Grow 2 inches guaranteed." A cheap-looking pendant with a tag on it that says it's set with a miracle stone. It's like this is the knockoff boneyard where cheap products go to die. They break away from their pathetic herd, knowing their time has come and end up in this graveyard of a storeroom. Let's see. Anagachi. Anagachi. I quickly spy the cardboard box I'm looking for. Then I catch sight of a dark silhouette out of the corner of my eye. Eek! I yelp. It's one of them. The size, the speed, the dark shape. It couldn't be anything else. It peers back at me from the shadow of the Anagachi box, the faint light catching the luster of its Carapace. It looks ready to leap out at me at any moment. I need to act fast.
Whoops.
I challenge it to single combat! It flitters aloft. It's gunning for me, all right. Bracing myself, I step forward to confront it, which paradoxically helps calm my nerves. I get the sneaking suspicion that this isn't the first time I've done battle with one of these things. It's like I've trained myself to protect someone who's even more scared of them than I am. As I mull that over, the thing hovering in the air presses its attack against me. Now's my chance. I snatch up a nearby piece of cardboard and swat at the creature, hard. It sails out the window in a graceful arc, then flitters away into the world beyond. Phew! At least we parted on mutually acceptable terms. I didn't have to squash it or blast it with pesticide. Hefting the box labeled Yanagishita, I scurry away from the graveyard of schlock merchandise. Phew! I made it. When I get back to the break room, Mr. Yanagishita is still clutching Chiri's hands.
And it's super tasty when you salt boil it too.
Thank you.
But tempura style is probably the best.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Yanagishita's spirits have certainly turned around. Okay, got it. I hold out the big cardboard box.
Excellent. Thank you. You girls are the greatest.
Yanagishita shouts. His voice resounds with gratitude.
Hey, that's it! I just got an amazing idea! Why don't the three of us start our own company?
I'll pass.
Chiri and I respond in unison.
Man, you two shot that one down quick. Ah, well. For today, let's just focus on selling Burning Hammer.
By the way, I ask, where is the burning hammer? There wasn't any in the storeroom, and I don't see any here either.
Oh, that's right. It's out back on the loading dock. We should probably go bring it in. Oh, and bring the Onagachis with you too. The recycling guy's gonna be showing up soon. Come on, let's go.
Chiri and I follow Mr. Yanagishita out to the loading dock. But the loading dock, it turns out, is empty. There's no sign of the burning hammer anywhere. It's
gone.
Mr. Yanagishita murmurs. Then his voice rises to a shout.
It's gone! All gone! The burning hammer, it's all gone! Flying into... Oh, sorry, go.
Flying into a panic, he searches frantically from one end of the dock to the other, leaping into the air, even peering down into the cracks. But no matter where he looks, there's nothing for him to find.
It was right here a little while ago. Like, right here. Right here!
I hear the sound of an engine revving outside. Mr. Yanagishita cries out in alarm. We can see a truck starting to pull away. Its bed is piled high with cardboard boxes and other assorted trash.
Hey, boss.
Bob?
Is that? Yes, there it is.
Mr. Yanagishita begins racing after the truck.
My burning hammer!
His voice cracks as he cries out.
Give that back! Give it back!
But he's no match for a speeding truck, and the boxes of burning hammer vanish before his eyes.
Burning hammer! Come back! Come back!
Yanagishita's wailing echoes from the surrounding buildings. It's like something out of a movie.
What the hell? What's up with that truck? Tama? Who the heck was that?
Hey, don't look at me, I reply.
With all those piles of stuff, it looked like just they were a recycling guy.
As soon as he says it, revelation dawns on his face.
A recycling guy?
He mutters. I can see the color draining from his face. The words recycling guy give me an idea. If it was him, maybe he thought he was picking up the Anagachis by mistake.
We have to find it. We have to find that truck!
The man is absolutely beside himself.
Chiri, Tama, you two split up and try to track it down.
Wait, why do we have to look for it?
Again, Chiri and I speak in chorus.
There's no sales demo, there's no money to pay you. And then all the work you've done will be for nothing.
Right. When he puts it that way, I guess there isn't much of a choice. Somehow or another, we'll have to find that truck.
It can't have gotten far.
He continues.
Now go hunt it for it like your life depended on it.
Chiri and I look at each other and sigh.
How do you want to do this?
She asks.
Want to search together, or should we split up?
I'm in a cat suit, so let's go together. Let's go together. And so Chiri and I head out in search of the truck. As we make our way down Center Guy, peering in all directions, I accidentally bump right into a man who's out with his daughter.
Frank.
Oh!
Wait. Is it a guy or a Tama? Ah, Frank, just go for it.
Ooh, pardon me.
I hop
Oh.
back onto my feet and go to bow to the man in apology. Ow! He bows at the same time, and we manage to bonk our heads together. Sorry. As her dad drops to his knees, clutching his head, the girl begins to wander off.
Anna, oh, wait.
The man lurches to his feet and rushes after the girl. She seems like an odd kid, only 10 or so, but strangely cold and distant for her age. As we make our way back down to the road, Chiri's eyes light upon a cafe.
Man, I am super hungry.
She mutters. Not now, we have to find that truck.
Yeah, I know.
I stride purposefully along, and though Chiri flashes the eatery a long, lingering look, she falls into step behind me. Chiri and I wander around town for another 10 minutes or so. We don't see any sign of the truck, though. Ugh, I sigh. It really is good and gone, huh? I turn to look back at Chiri. Huh? Wait, what? Chiri's gone. She must have slipped away from me at some point. I take a quick look around, but there's no sign of her. When did she split off? She was just there 2 or 3 minutes ago. It's 12:35. Whoa. The sales demo starts in 25 minutes. What do I do? I don't have time to go looking for Chiri. Guess I'll have to keep searching for the truck by myself then. But I have no clues to go on, so I don't know how I'm ever going to find it. Ah! What should I do?
The rain won't let up. No matter how much time passes, it just won't stop. Ever since that day, the sound of raindrops has been burned into my mind. Such an awful, heart-rending sound, driving me to strip my life down to shadows. And yet, no matter what else I abandon, nothing will make the sound of the rain stop.
Osawa stared at a postcard that was nestled into the final page of the photo album. He'd purchased it 2 years earlier, while on a trip with Maria to the Middle East. He'd mentioned that he was being sent there on business, and Maria had just blurted out, "I want to go with you." She'd recently developed an interest in the Middle East conflict, and apparently she had been yearning to see the area firsthand. His daughter's newfound curiosity had taken him aback. She had always tended to be quiet and self-contained. The clumsy conversations aboard the airplane, the meals eaten together in awkward silence, it all felt like such a distant memory to Osawa now.
Ma'am, I'm afraid I can't let you do that.
He heard Kajiwara's voice outside the door.
Why ever not? I'm just going out for a bit.
The detective was arguing with Ai. Great.
And just who was it who told me that I should try to go about my life as normal?
Osawa's wife sneered.
Ma'am, please,
How would you feel about being told to just sit around and wait?
Ai's angry shriek jerked Osawa to his feet. It was feet. He hurried from the study to try to calm her down.
Ma'am, please wait.
But by the time Osawa had made his way downstairs, his wife had already stormed outside, despite Kajiwara's attempts to stop her. Osawa doubted anything he could have said would have stopped Ai from leaving. Trying to physically keep her from going out would only have made for an even worse uproar. He was glad that at least it hadn't come to that. He was turning to head back to the study when Kajiwara caught his eye. Resigned, he headed down the stairs and bowed to the detective.
Any idea where she's going?
Kajiwara asked.
I mean, at a time like this.
Osawa shook his head.
I wouldn't know. I didn't think so. You know, your wife is really something else.
Osawa arched an eyebrow.
That's one way to describe her. A rather rude way, as a matter of fact. No offense intended. It's just that ever since this case started, you've both been holed up in your own respective rooms.
The more Kajiwara spoke, the more irritated Osawa became.
What's your point?
He demanded.
I just mean, you haven't been having any, marital discourse. Mind your own business.
Osawa snapped. Kajiwara dipped his head deferentially.
The two of us not talking isn't a new thing anyhow.
Osawa added.
I have a policy of not having pointless conversations.
It didn't look as though Kajiwara quite understood.
Microorganisms such as viruses don't have conversations. And yet, still they continually propagate in order to survive.
Thinking about viruses, Osawa was back in familiar territory. He felt a surge of confidence.
Once you have a clear purpose, conversation is unnecessary. And do you have a clear purpose for the relationship with your wife, Mr. Osawa? Of course I do. To be a family.
Arms crossed, Kajiwara struck a thoughtful pose.
At least I've learned one useful thing today, Mr. Osawa. Namely, that you don't like to have pointless conversations. It's a good thing to know.
Kajiwara uncrossed his arms for a moment, then crossed them right back again, furrowing his brow.
But see, that's funny. You seem to have a tendency to have pointless conversations with me, and... because you keep coming to talk to me.
Osawa saw red.
You don't leave me much of a choice.
Tanaka poked his head out of the living room. Is something the matter? He asked.
No.
Osawa struggled to regain his calm.
Perfect timing, actually. There's something I need to talk to you about.
He turned back to Kajiwara.
Oh, my apologies, Detective, but would you mind giving us some privacy?
Kajiwara didn't move.
Detective?
Osawa gave the policeman a hard look and saw him crack a smile.
Yes? What is it?
Kajiwara said at last.
Don't you play dumb with me. Give us some privacy. Is this a discussion I shouldn't overhear? Actually, yes. It's work-related. There are business matters I'd prefer to keep confidential. Ah, I see.
Reluctantly getting to his feet, Kajiwara slipped away into the living room.
Tanaka.
Osawa began.
About those emails.
He stopped abruptly. Kajiwara had reappeared in the living room door, right at them, staring right at them.
What are you doing?
Osawa demanded.
Oh. Should I not be watching?
Osawa felt like he was about to burst a blood vessel.
I mean, you never told me that I couldn't watch. Because it should be obvious.
The detective made a scolded puppy face, then closed the living room door. Osawa let out a heavy sigh. He'd never been an extrovert, but he didn't recall human interaction being quite this draining. Anyway, sir, Tanaka prompted. You were saying?
Yes, about those emails. Something doesn't make sense. I don't understand how Mr. Makino was able to get the antiviral agent to anyone on the outside.
Sharing an Okoshi Pharmaceuticals drug with external sources while it was still under development required the approval of an executive committee that included Osawa himself. There should have been no way the antiviral could be sent out without his knowledge. Tanaka hesitated a few moments before responding. Are you aware of the strife between the company president and the chairman? Osawa shook his head. He was a researcher through and through. Factional rivalries held no interest for him whatsoever. Makino effectively leads the chairman's team, and the antiviral agent is their pet project. Despite being the executive officer in charge of the project, however, Makino still needs the president's approval to...
You know what? Forget about that right now. What do we do about security?
In theory, it was physically impossible to get the antiviral out of the lab without detection. Entry to the biohazard laboratory, where it was kept, required fingerprint authentication from both Osawa and Tanaka. Without the two of them there, nobody could even get into the storage facility. Tanaka followed his drift. Ah, yes. I see what you mean. He inclined his head in thought as Osawa continued.
Let's check the entry logs for the storage section.
Anyone who wanted to get inside had to present their ID card to the security guard on duty. It should be possible to check the computer logs to see if there had been any suspicious activity in the system. Tanaka shook his head. I already checked the logs, sir. There was no evidence of anything suspicious. You're welcome to check for yourself, though, if you're that worried.
Nah, I believe you.
Yet the fact was that the antiviral had been used for clinical testing. Either Makino had taken it from the laboratory personally, or someone working on his orders had done so. But how? Was there really some way they could have bypassed lab security without anyone else knowing? Osawa couldn't think how it would be possible. The living room door opened with a soft creak. It was Kajiwara, and he looked stiff and pale.
Something terrible has happened,
he said. Visions of tragedy flooded Osawa's mind.
Maria. Is she?
Kajiwara shook his head.
No, it's not that. What is it then?
Osawa asked, his voice trembling.
Sir, I need you to stay calm.
Osawa swallowed the lump in his throat.
You see, the toilet's clogged.
Plunger in hand, Osawa stabbed vigorously at the recalcitrant toilet bowl, struggling to loosen the unseen blockage. Kajiwara was at his side, wiping up the floor with a rag.
How did this even happen?
The detective groaned.
Are you kidding? I was hoping you could tell me that.
The plunger sucked and slurped at the porcelain basin. This was a first for Osawa. He'd never tried to unclog a toilet before in his life.
Think of it as a blessing in disguise, Mr. Osawa. What the hell are you talking about? What about this constitutes a blessing? I just meant that at least this happened before you needed to, do your business.
Without the slightest hint of guile on his face, Kajiwara picked up his bucket and headed for the sink back in the washing area. Grumbling to himself, Osawa pumped the plunger over and over again. This was almost funny. Almost ridiculous, in fact. His daughter had been kidnapped, and he was stuck unclogging a toilet. He was quite possibly caught up in a major corporate conspiracy, and here he was, unclogging a toilet. Tanaka poked his head into the bathroom. Did you fix it yet?
If you need to urinate, then use the restroom on the second floor.
That's alright. Here's fine. Tanaka stepped in beside him and abruptly shut the bathroom door. Now the two men were crammed together in the narrow lavatory.
Hey, what?
Osawa hissed.
What the hell are you doing?
Tanaka made eye contact with Osawa via the mirror. He spoke in a hushed voice. I've been waiting for a moment I could get you alone.
What?
Tanaka sidled around to face him, giving him an intense stare. Sir, could you please be quiet for a moment? Tanaka had tears in the corner of his eyes. This'll only take a moment. Osawa could feel the warm breath of his deputy whispering against his cheek. Tanaka reached for something inside his coat.
seat. Alright. Do as you wish.
Osawa closed his eyes. Are you sure you're ready for this?
I'm not sure. This is all happening pretty fast. To be honest, I'm rather nervous.
I understand, sir.
I mean, now that I think of it, we do spend day in and day out in that lab together. I suppose this was bound to happen sooner or later.
Sir, could you please open your eyes? I'd like you to look at this.
You'll have to forgive me. This is all a bit sudden.
Please, sir. Take a look.
I know I can't.
It's just the two of us. It's probably going to shock you, I know, but please, just look.
Is it really that shocking?
Oh, yes. Very. Now, please, open your eyes.
Okay. No, I can't.
Sir, trust me. This isn't easy for me either.
Alright.
Bracing himself, Osawa opened his eyes. Tanaka thrust out his cell phone. Here, take a look at this.
Huh?
Osawa blinked, bewildered, then refocused on the phone. He could never have anticipated what he saw on the LCD screen.